Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Fall Jersey. Joe Archino back here, and very interesting story that I just saw today. We all kind of have moved on from Super Bowl 50. It seems like, that has been so long ago now, but with Major League Baseball coming up and running and things are going to be kicking off before we know it, a lot of the teams are currently meeting with each other, getting ready for the season, and the New York Yankees kind of going through their regular meetings, meeting with the players, showing them instructional videos. The Yankees really putting a priority, as they usually do, on how to interact with the media, how to talk to the media, how to handle yourself in regards to the media. One of the things that I thought was really interesting was they used this past Super Bowl as an example, and mainly they're comparing Russell Wilson and Cam Newton and the way that the two of them handled the losses after the Super Bowl. The last two Super Bowls, of course, Russell Wilson losing to the Patriots and Cam Newton just coming off his loss to the Denver Broncos, and obviously the way that the two of them handled themselves after the losses could not be more different, and it's something that really I think we've come to expect from each guy. Each guy is inherently different. Both are extraordinarily talented, and I think the two of them are really going to have quite a rivalry these next few seasons in the NFL for battling it out in the NFC. But just comparing the two guys, maturity is still clearly more on Russell Wilson's side. We saw the Carolina Panthers play the Seattle Seahawks in the NFL playoffs this year, and although Carolina came right out and were up 31-0 at halftime, they got shut out the second half of that game. Russell Wilson and the Seahawks really came out of the gate and struggled tremendously, turning the ball over. Carolina's speed and physicality really pushed them around. But in the second half of that game, the Panthers were rattled. Cam Newton's composure was lacking, and Russell Wilson, the more mature player, made this one very interesting, and it got very close. But it really does come down to maturity. Again, you can't knock Cam Newton, the player. He's maybe the most transcendent and maybe the best athlete we've ever seen play the quarterback position. But where he is still needs to grow and where he still needs to step up as a leader is in the maturity standpoint. I've been on the air, and I've said it on record, he will not win a Super Bowl until his maturity takes the next step forward. Now, he's grown a lot in the NFL since he's come in. He used to hang his head down a lot. He used to be pouty on the sidelines. He used to be really bad after losses, dealing with the media, but he certainly got better at it. And certainly Carolina did not experience much losing this season, which made losing in the final game hurt that much more, but there's really no defending how Cam Newton handled himself, and he really never recovered from that, because then he came out and said his comments defending his actions, saying, if you show me a good loser, I'll show you a loser, which again is just false. Russell Wilson won the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning and lost the second year. He showed how you do it, and it's one of those things where really Russell Wilson to me is kind of the prototype of what you would want, whether it's in the NFL, whether it's in the NBA, the MLB. That is really the perfect epitome of what a professional athlete should be. Really, Russell Wilson's life revolves around three things. It's his girlfriend, it's giving back his commitment to charity, and it's being a professional athlete. Those are really the only three things that Russell Wilson is really about. And from the way that he conducts himself on the field to the way that he conducts himself talking to the media, he does it all the right way, and he does it all with maturity. Colin Cowherd always said something, he never worried about Russell Wilson like I think a lot of us didn't worry, because he was one of the most mature people we've ever seen for his age coming into the NFL. And if you're ever worried about a player in the NFL, if he's going to translate, maturity is always the thing that makes me sold on the guy. Yeah, maybe he'll have some physical limitations. Maybe you're worried about him not making certain plays. But I'll take the risk on that guy if I know he's going to put in the work, if he's going to give me that commitment, and most above all else, he shows the maturity and the leadership it takes. A lot of these guys have all the talent in the world, like the Ryan Leafs of the world, like the Jamarcus Russells, but they don't have the maturity that it takes. Now, Cam Newton has all the talent in the world, and the maturity has gotten better, but it certainly needs to get taken to the other level. And I think the Yankees, using the two of them as an example, is telling about the current state of Cam Newton, but it's also very smart. they're an organization that is very careful about protecting their image, protecting their players, because their players are an example of the image. When you put on the pinstripes, you represent the New York Yankees everywhere you go, and that's why they need to be extra careful. And it's everything is very calculated, everything is very controlled, and this is certainly something that will be taken very heavily and accepted by the players. And it's definitely one of those things where when you look at it and you try to analyze it, there's a lot of truth to it. It's very easy to kind of see the difference between Cam Newton and between Russell Wilson. You don't really have to be a rocket scientist to see that one of them clearly handled their loss better than the other one did. But it's one of those situations where when you try to look at it from a football standpoint, clearly Cam Newton could learn some things when it comes to that. I mean, again, it's still, you give it time to heal the wound. Sometimes losing in the Super Bowl, that wound never heals until you actually are able to hold up that trophy. But it's one of those things where Cam Newton's got so much talent and there's so much riding on him. And even Peyton Manning really gave him such a ringing endorsement, saying he could be the face of the NFL the next 8 to 10 years. But for that to happen, he's got to increase and step up his maturity. That is the only way he's going to win a Super Bowl trophy. And until that happens, I don't think he will. We saw how quickly Russell Wilson was able to come into this league, make an impact, and win his Super Bowl trophy. He was in 2 of them. He's 1-1, and that is so difficult to do. And it's one of those things where he was helped by the roster around him, but without his play, that roster wins nothing. In the NFL, yes, teams win the biggest game imaginable, but without a quarterback at the helm, the quarterback makes it all work. None of those other pieces can work without the quarterback. It's the way, it's the age of this is what the NFL is today, and Russell Wilson certainly has brought that to the table. And again, I just think it's very interesting how the New York Yankees kind of use this as their model to teach players how to interact with the media, because it's one of those things where with social media today and with the way that your message can get out there so much easier and the way that people can misconstrue your message, the game has changed. Never before has the interaction between the media and the players been like this, and teams are being extra careful in their approach and the way that they're dealing, because we even saw with Cam Newton how that kind of spiraled out of control right after the Super Bowl. His image clearly took a hit in the public's eye. This was already a player that a lot of people kind of weren't always too big a fan of because of the way that he celebrates on the field and the way that he conducts himself on the field, which again I don't really think there's anything wrong with. Really, there's a line, and I don't think Cam Newton really ever crossed that line, but he was wrong in the way that he handled himself after the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson clearly the better case, and the New York Yankees taking full advantage and wanting their players to do that. But until we see some maturity in Cam Newton, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Fall. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino, on Instagram Jersey_Joe_Archino, and I'll see everybody next time.